How does that look?
No, I'm not saying that. You get some sense that there's a handful of stocks.
Look at that. I mean, you could tie that to the market. Bang.
So I got my Labatt's blue T-shirt on because I'm a big fan of this. Arguably, like Canada's beer, right? I mean, when you think
Wait
of
a
beer in
second.
Canada, yeah.
Is Labatt's Canada's beer or is Molson? I don't know. I'm asking. Apparently, it's Labatt's.
Wow. All right. So it's interesting because there's a debate, right? I mean, because if you what's America's beer? I mean, it's Budweiser.
That's a good question. I mean, but Budweiser is no longer America's beer because they got bought by InBev.
Right. All right. Thank you. So over my shoulder is a player who the self-proclaimed America's team, which annoys the hell out of me. By the way, I mean, why are they America's team? Why are the Cowboys America's team?
I don't know. It's a great question. I was never listen, as a lifelong New York Giant fan, obviously I detest the Dallas Cowboys, so I don't understand. But I think people were fascinated by the star on the side of the helmet and the aforementioned the great Roger Staubach, Heisman Trophy winner from the Naval Academy.
And that's the thing about Staubach. The guy, just an impressive guy, and you know the Landry mystique on the sidelines and. But I don't know how they became America's team. Someone with incredible marketing, and unfortunately, Jerry Jones is ringing it all the way to the bank with that carnival that goes on down there in Fort Worth, Dallas. What city is it? Is it in Dallas or is it in Fort Worth? I mean,
I think it's right outside of Dallas. It's listen. I don't think they could put it in Dallas because it's so freaking big.
It's too big.
The place is huge, so they had to do the outskirts of town, as they say, but. It's an amazing facility. It's just incredible. And I will tell you, everybody in that area, states around that don't have an NFL team, they love their Cowboys. And listen, the Cowboys played our Giants at the Meadowlands, whatever they're calling it, this past weekend, and there were more Cowboy fans than Giant fans for good reason.
All right, so not even close. And there's an argument that the Cowboys are stitched into the fabric of this company, certainly in football lore. And you know, maybe it's because in the mid-'70s, I was a 9-10-year-old boy who was just psyched on Sundays. You didn't have football on every night. I mean, I think it was a better product when there was less of it. But here I am sounding like my dad. The Steelers were America's teams, but there were some great teams back. Again, think about that steel curtain in Pittsburgh. Think of the Purple People Eaters in Minnesota. A little bit before that, obviously, the Green Bay Packers and the Paul Hornigs. And, I mean, it was an incredible time for football. But maybe most notable that came out of that mid-'70s Cowboys was the ever-famous, what do we call that pass?
The Hail Mary pass. And that's, I think, what put the Cowboys on the map. That play sort of set things in motion. That was, of course, Roger Staubach effectively just throwing the ball up in the air for Preston, not Drew Pearson, not related, by the way, to catch and to go in the end zone to beat the aforementioned Minnesota Vikings.
You sure it wasn't Preston Pearson?
Are you sure? It was Preston, not Drew.
Oh, not Drew. Oh, sorry. Okay, because
yes, I mean, I'm sure.
All right. And are you telling me that pass had, like, no one had ever thrown a pass just up there to try to win a ball game? I mean, I feel like someone's taking poetic license on a play that probably has happened in football 1,000 times before that.
Yeah, oddly enough, it did happen many times before that. It happened with Roger Staubach in college, but it became known as a Hail Mary because in the post game. They asked what happened, and Roger said, I just threw it up in the air, said a Hail Mary, and Preston came down with it. So that's how it got its roots. But I'll say this. If you watch that play closely, clearly offensive pass interference. I mean, Preston Pearson basically threw Nate Wright off out of the way. It was amazing.
He was like Moses Malone under the boards, clearing out with a couple bows and getting them camped in there. No, it was a great play. And those were some great Cowboys teams. And the question is, did that pass become emblematic for how certain people, but more importantly, companies would go about their business in a world where, if you think about it, the Hail Mary pass in the world of corporate M&A is really a function of a company that's got no other choice but to make an acquisition that is, a game changer, maybe a winning touchdown of sorts, but in many cases fraught with risks and only comes after you have no other choice.
In our world, IBM threw a Hail Mary in 2019 when they acquired Red
Yeah,
Hat
Red
for
Hat.
$34 billion. And we don't know if that pass has been completed yet, but at least they took a shot.
Well, now look, somebody caught it. The question is, were they down by too many touchdowns? That wasn't even going to win the game for them. I mean, they may have thrown that pass, and I think they caught it. And there's no question about Red Hat and where that put them in the world of cloud. And cloud is, again, one of these things that's a big theme for 2021 into 22. And, it's all cloud these days. It's all ball bearings these days. Fletch, by the way, great watch if you haven't seen that one in a while. But I think they were down by 3 touchdowns. So you don't throw a Hail Mary pass when, in fact, you're not even in a position to win the game, Guy Adami.
I like what you did there. And listen, I think that's the exact point. That Hail Mary might have been completed, but instead of losing 35-14, they lost 35-21. And I think that's what IBM is dealing with right now. But let's see. Maybe they'll somehow magically get that game into overtime. I don't know. What about on your neck of the woods? What are you
well, I mean,
at?
it's almost easier for me to come up with, again, a big company that's almost America. Yeah, I'm going to do this again. I mean, AT&T, and I think our T-Mobile and a few of the other companies that have really almost stolen the mantle will take issue with this. But AT&T at one point was America's wireline, and again, wireline. So in the world of wireless and mobile, and the transformation of telco companies into not only wireless plays but media companies. And again, we could go off on this one, but AT&T's acquisition of Time Warner was a Hail Mary pass. This was a company that, look, their core fixed line business, dead. Yesterday's news, as dead as those purple people eaters were at the face of that. I mean, I think you've got an argument. When they went to buy Time Warner, they were trying to buy undervalued assets. They were trying to get themselves into the media space. And think of that package, that bundle, if I may, of Time Warner assets, and that includes HBO, and that includes TNT and Turner, and all the heritage from Warner Media. It's been a disaster. And the stock price probably when they did that deal was north of 40. It's in the low to mid 20s now. The company's has a wireless business. It's obviously very competitive. They're not a media company. I'm not even sure what they are. I'm not sure that they're IBM, but that's a failed Hail Mary. I don't think anyone even caught that pass. That pass dribbled off into the end zone.
It's still bouncing. Now, what we like to do here on Commercial Break is tie a ribbon on everything. The fact that we started with America's team, Dallas Cowboys, who happen to play in what stadium, Tim? Of course, AT&T Stadium. See what we're doing for you, folks?
I had no idea. Good for you. AT&T Stadium. And of course, Citibank has named a stadium in the tri-state area of that Citi Field. Have you heard of that one?
Yeah, I have. It's amazing. Their logo looks hauntingly like, as I've said 100 times, it's either Domino's or Pizza Hut. It doesn't matter because it's so not innovative. And I know that you're all excited. I can see the big smirk on your face as we get towards
we haven't talked
Christmas
about this.
Day. The fact that, once again, the Mets seem to dominate things in November and December. Unfortunately, they play baseball every month but November and December, Tim.
I see what you did. So, again, the buck stops here in New York. This is our Buck Show, Walter. Not yours, Guy. But you do have our ex-manager, Cookie Rojas. And at some point, the Yankees, who, by the way, are the closest thing to the Cowboys of self-proclaiming themselves as America's team, I think are going to find themselves, it's going to be a trade deadline in August where Brian Cashman's going to be going back into the huddle and he's saying, guys, we have no choice but to see if we could bring back Derek Jeter from retirement. It ain't going to happen. I don't think you're catching the pass, Guy. Good luck to your team.
Well, what's going to wind up happening, to your point, the Yankees will be trying to shop in the bargain basement, and that will be in the form of the Mets, who will be at that point 70 and 82, and they're looking to shop the contract of Max Scherzer, and they will find a willing participant in the form of the New York Yankees, who will go on to win the 2022 World Series. But that's neither here nor there. But you are Tim Seymour. I'm Guy Adami, and who are we?
Of course, we're Commercial Break. We'll see you soon.